Gabriele Krause never imagined that her career as an architect would take her into the world of Arab royalty. At 48, divorced for 3 years, she had found stability in her Cologne-based architecture firm, which specialized in sustainable projects for the European market. Her life was predictable, organized, secure, exactly as she had planned after the traumatic end of her 18-year marriage to Thomas Weber, a businessman who constantly belittled her professional achievements. It was an ordinary Thursday in March 2024 when everything changed. Gabriele was reviewing plans for an eco-friendly residential complex when her phone vibrated with an Instagram notification. Normally, she would have ignored it. Her professional account received dozens of messages daily from suppliers and potential clients, but something about this particular message caught her attention. "Good morning, Ms. Krause. I am Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Your impressive architecture has come to the attention of our royal family. We would like to discuss a special project in the United Arab Emirates." Gabriele paused, rereading the message twice. The profile showed an elegant man of about 45, wearing traditional Arab clothing in luxurious settings. The photos included meetings with what appeared to be dignitaries, shiny luxury cars, and what looked like royal palaces with stunning architecture. The profile had over 100,000 followers and was verified with Instagram's blue checkmark. This must be sophisticated spam, she initially thought, nervously fiddling with her pen. But her professional curiosity got the better of her. As an architect, she had always dreamed of working on large-scale international projects, especially in the Middle East, where modern architecture meets ancient traditions. After a few minutes of hesitation, she decided to respond politely. "Good morning, Your Highness. I am honored by your interest in my work. Could you give me more details about the project you mentioned?" The response came in less than 15 minutes, surprising her with its speed and impeccable formality. "Ms. Krause, our family is planning to build a revolutionary cultural complex in Dubai. We need a European architect with a modern vision, but who is sensitive to our sacred Islamic traditions. You have been carefully selected from hundreds of international professionals after extensive review of your portfolio." Gabriele felt her heart race. Selected from hundreds of professionals? She knew her work was competent and innovative, but international recognition of this magnitude seemed absolutely surreal. Her hands trembled slightly as she typed the next question. "May I ask specifically why I was chosen?" "We have studied your portfolio extensively over the past 6 months. Your design for the modern mosque in Berlin impressed us deeply. The masterful way you integrated environmental sustainability with deep religious respect is exactly the vision our family seeks for the future of the Emirates. Furthermore, German women possess unparalleled technical precision and work ethic, qualities that are essential for projects of this magnitude." Gabriele immediately remembered the project mentioned, a small community mosque she had designed 3 years earlier for a Muslim community in Berlin. It had been a challenging job, requiring months of research on traditional Islamic architecture and extensive consultations with local religious leaders. How did this sheikh know about such a specific and relatively obscure job? This only increased her curiosity and, secretly, her long-dormant professional pride. Over the next 2 weeks, the conversations intensified dramatically. Sheikh Abdullah proved surprisingly accessible and communicative for a high-ranking member of royalty. He sent spectacular photographs of Dubai at sunrise and sunset, explained with evident passion the Al Maktoum family's vision to modernize Emirati culture while maintaining its sacred traditions, and gradually began to include more personal and warm comments in his messages. "Ms. Krause," he wrote in a particularly touching message, I must confess that in addition to your undeniable professional competence, your keen intelligence and cultural sensitivity impress me deeply as a person. It is extremely rare to find someone who simultaneously understands complex technical aspects and delicate cultural nuances of sacred architecture. Gabriele felt increasingly flattered and valued. After years of feeling professionally undervalued in her marriage, where Thomas constantly belittled her achievements and called her just a local architect, receiving genuine and respectful recognition from an Arab prince was like a balm for old emotional wounds. She began to eagerly await each new message, compulsively checking her phone during work meetings. She also began obsessively researching the Al Maktoum family, discovering that they really did exist and had ruled Dubai for decades, being internationally recognized for ambitious architectural projects and progressive vision. Everything seemed to confirm Abdullah's legitimacy and his royal claims. The project began to take detailed shape through their increasingly long conversations. Abdullah spoke with contagious enthusiasm about a 200 million cultural complex that would include a museum of contemporary Islamic art, a digital library of ancient manuscripts, a convention center for intercultural dialogue, and a modern mosque that would be a symbol of the new Dubai. It will be the ultimate bridge between East and West, he explained passionately, a physical manifestation of the harmony between ancient wisdom and modern innovation. The initial budget for architectural development is $2 million, Abdullah continued in one of his most detailed messages. But we need to start immediately. Our royal family has specific deadlines related to sacred Islamic calendars and astrological considerations that determine auspicious times to begin important construction projects. Gabriele found herself working late into the night, researching classical and contemporary Islamic architecture, studying complex UAE building regulations, and imagining what it would be like to transform her career by working on a project of this historic magnitude. Her close friends began to notice significant changes in her behavior. She seemed more excited and energized than she had been in years, constantly talking about international opportunities and transformative projects. "Gabi, are you absolutely sure this Sheikh is who he says he is?" asked her best friend Petra Lindner over Sunday lunch at their favorite Italian restaurant. "This whole situation seems too good to be true. And you know what they say about things that seem too good to be true. Petra, I've meticulously checked everything that could possibly be checked," Gabriele replied, slightly irritated by her friend's distrust. "The Al Maktoum family has truly ruled Dubai for generations. His Instagram profile has over 100,000 real followers and is officially verified. The photos are all consistent and professional. More importantly, he demonstrates detailed technical knowledge about my previous projects that only someone genuinely in the field of architecture could understand and appreciate." "But you've never had a video call with him, right?" Petra insisted, concern evident in her voice. "He clearly explained to me that royal security protocols are extremely strict in the Emirates," Gabriele replied, faithfully repeating the explanations Abdullah had provided. "All initial official communications must be conducted in writing through secure channels before any direct visual contact is permitted. Furthermore, he constantly travels on official diplomatic missions to other Arab countries, so coordinating schedules would be nearly impossible until I travel to Dubai." And Petra didn't seem convinced at all, but Gabriele was completely determined and resistant to any skepticism. This was clearly her moment to shine, her long-awaited opportunity to leave a permanent and meaningful mark on the world of prestigious international architecture. Abdullah had recently begun to mention, with increasing frequency, the urgent need for her to travel to Dubai for formal and official presentations to the entire royal family. "Ms. Kraus," he wrote in a particularly formal message, "the crucial moment has finally arrived to meet you in person and face to face. Our family wishes to evaluate not only the technical quality of your architectural designs, but also your personality, character, and cultural compatibility with us. For us, traditional Arabs, personal trust and human chemistry are absolutely fundamental to any long-term partnership. When exactly would be convenient for this trip? Gabriele asked, already mentally rearranging her work schedule for the coming months and cancelling planned vacations. As soon as possible, ideally within the next 2 weeks, Abdullah replied with palpable urgency. We have a very specific and limited window of opportunity in our complex family calendar. If we miss this unique chance, the entire project may be inevitably delayed for many months or even years due to strict religious considerations, international political obligations, and astrological cycles that govern important decisions of the royal family. The time pressure was intense and almost overwhelming, but Gabriele interpreted it as further evidence of the legitimacy of the situation. Large-scale government projects did indeed have inflexible deadlines and extremely complex political considerations. There is just one delicate protocol issue I must mention, Abdullah added hesitantly in a follow-up message. Our strict national security regulations require that you travel alone initially, without any escorts or assistance. After full formal approval from the family, you will naturally be able to bring your entire technical team to Dubai. Gabriele paused for a moment. Traveling alone to a distant foreign country to meet someone she had never met face-to-face seemed potentially risky. But Abdullah quickly offered comprehensive and convincing reassurances. I fully understand your natural and prudent hesitation, he replied immediately. It is a perfectly normal and sensible reaction. Let me assure you that we will provide complete personal security, a professional private driver, first-class 5-star hotel accommodations, and all meals at high-quality restaurants. You will be treated with all the respect and care due to an honored official guest of our royal family. In addition, our official consulate in Düsseldorf can provide formal diplomatic confirmation of the royal invitation. The specific mention of the official consulate was exactly what finally convinced Gabriele completely. Official government diplomatic authorities would certainly not engage in fraud or criminal schemes, right? She decided to take the next definitive step. That same evening, Gabriele resolutely called the United Arab Emirates consulate in Düsseldorf. Good evening. I'm calling to officially confirm a diplomatic invitation from Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid Al Maktoum for an important government architectural project. One moment, please, ma'am, came the professional reply. After a few minutes of waiting, yes, we have an official record of an invitation for Ms. Gabriele Kraus. Cultural project approved by the Al Maktoum royal family. Gabriele hung up the phone feeling a powerful mix of total relief and growing excitement. Finally, all the pieces of the puzzle seemed to fit together perfectly. This really was her long-deserved moment of professional glory. What Gabriele didn't know was that Abdullah had called the same consulate just 2 hours earlier, pretending to be her personal assistant, and had confirmed details of an invitation that had never been officially issued by legitimate royal authorities. The consulate employee, routinely assuming that this was standard administrative protocol, simply confirmed the same information that she herself had entered into the system just minutes before Gabriele's call. With her heart pounding with anticipation, Gabriele immediately began making detailed plans for her transformative trip to Dubai, completely unaware that she was deliberately and confidently walking straight into an elaborate and dangerous trap, carefully constructed over months by a sophisticated and experienced international predator. A week after the reassuring confirmation from the consulate, Gabriele's life took an even more surreal and exciting turn. She was working intently in her office, reviewing technical specifications for a social housing project, when a special and completely unexpected delivery arrived. The delivery man, wearing the elegant uniform of a luxury florist, carried a spectacular arrangement of white and red roses in an elaborate crystal vase, accompanied by a handwritten note on paper with a gold letterhead and the official royal seal of the United Arab Emirates. To the most talented and sensitive architect in Europe, may these roses represent the magnificent blossoming of our future partnership. With deep admiration and respect, Abdullah bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Gabriele was literally speechless, holding the note with slightly trembling hands. No one had ever sent her such luxurious flowers, let alone with such an elegant and respectful note. Throughout their 18-year marriage, Thomas had rarely even remembered her birthday, let alone sent spontaneous romantic gestures. She discreetly photographed the stunning arrangement and carefully posted it on her professional Instagram, with a modest caption about unexpected international recognition. The comments were immediate and revealing. Fellow architects expressing thinly veiled envy and growing curiosity. Current clients inquiring about mysterious new international projects, and even the prestigious German architecture magazine Baumeister, contacting her directly for a possible exclusive interview about her international professional developments. But the expensive and sophisticated gifts didn't stop there. 2 days later, an elegant box wrapped in gold paper arrived, containing an authentic Hermès silk scarf with intricate Arabic geometric patterns in shades of blue and gold, accompanied by a personalized card. So you feel culturally at home when you arrive in our beloved Dubai. With growing affection, AA. Petra, you have to see this, Gabriele said proudly to her best friend during their weekly lunch, carefully unfolding the silk scarf on the restaurant table. An authentic original Hermès. It must have cost at least 800 euros, maybe more. Gabi, Petra said carefully, examining the scarf with obvious skepticism, doesn't it seem at least a little strange that an Arab prince is sending personal and intimate gifts to a German architect he has never met in person? Doesn't that go against normal royal protocols? It's traditional Arab diplomatic protocol, Gabriele replied confidently, repeating exactly the detailed explanations Abdullah had provided in advance. In traditional Arab cultures, carefully selected gifts demonstrate genuine seriousness of intent and deep respect for the recipient. It would be considered a serious offense and a cultural insult to refuse or question such gestures of goodwill. In reality, Abdullah had meticulously and scientifically studied Gabriele's complete psychological profile through months of careful observation of her social media, posting patterns, comments she made, and especially emotional reactions she displayed. He knew precisely that she had gone through an emotionally devastating divorce, where she felt completely devalued and neglected. He knew that she often posted about her professional projects, but received very few comments or recognition. He knew that she deeply craved the international validation and professional recognition that had eluded her throughout her career. Abdullah was, in brutal reality, Mahmoud Hassan, a 35-year-old Pakistani man who had been living in Dubai for 10 years, working as a basic administrative assistant at a medium-sized tourism company. During those 10 years, he had developed and refined a sophisticated, almost scientific method for systematically identifying, studying, and exploiting lonely European professional women, using a lethal combination of intensive social media research, advanced manipulative psychology, and elaborate role-playing with obsessive attention to detail. The daily conversations between Abdullah and Gabriele intensified dramatically over the following weeks, always following a carefully calculated and psychologically tested pattern. Abdullah gradually began to mix seemingly professional discussions with increasingly intimate and emotionally charged personal comments. "Ms. Krause," he wrote in a particularly touching message that arrived late one night, "I must confess something personal that has been weighing on my heart. When I first saw your mosque design in Berlin, it wasn't just the technically flawless architecture that impressed me deeply. It was the pure soul and genuine spiritual sensitivity that you clearly put into the work. It is extremely rare to find someone who combines absolute technical competence with such deep spiritual and cultural sensitivity. Gabriele felt increasingly special, valued, and important. After years and years of a relationship where her career was constantly minimized and belittled by Thomas, who often called her just another local architect with no real ambitions, receiving this kind of deep professional and personal validation from a prestigious international figure was like a healing balm for old and deep emotional wounds. "I must admit, Your Highness," she replied with emotional honesty, "that your project has inspired me in ways I did not fully expect. Working on something so culturally significant and historically important would definitely be the pinnacle and ultimate fulfillment of my entire professional career. Please just call me Abdullah when we are not discussing formal official matters," he replied immediately. "Royal titles create unnecessary distance between people, and I genuinely feel that our connection goes far beyond the merely professional or protocolary." This was an extremely crucial and calculated psychological move. By specifically asking her to abandon royal formalities, Abdullah instantly created a powerful sense of special intimacy and unique privilege. Gabriele felt even more chosen and special. How many ordinary people in the entire world could call a powerful Arab sheikh by his first name in casual conversation? Abdullah then strategically began to reveal seemingly personal and vulnerable details about his private life and emotional state. "Can I speak with complete frankness and honesty, Gabriele? Being a member of the royal family by birth is often extremely lonely and isolating. Most people approach me only for financial gain, political opportunity, or social prestige, never for who I really am as a person behind the titles. With you, I feel a genuine and refreshing human connection that is extremely rare in my life." Gabriele was deeply touched and moved. The romantic idea that a powerful Arab prince, with all his immense political power, untold wealth, and international influence, felt emotionally lonely and found a special and unique human connection specifically in her was deeply seductive and flattering in ways she could barely process completely. "I feel that special connection too, Abdullah," she admitted with growing vulnerability. "It's really unusual to find someone who genuinely understands a true passion for architecture as an artistic and cultural expression." "Exactly," Abdullah replied with seemingly genuine enthusiasm. "You see buildings and spaces not just as basic functional structures, but as profound expressions of the human soul and manifestations of culture. That is precisely why our family chose you not only as a technical architect, but as, how can I adequately express it, a special cultural ambassador between our worlds." The elaborate concept of special cultural ambassador was another brilliant and devastating psychological coup. Abdullah masterfully elevated Gabriele's perceived status from that of a simple professional contractor to an internationally prestigious cultural representative, making her feel absolutely important, unique, and indispensable. The increasingly long and intimate conversations began to take place at progressively more personal and inconvenient times. Abdullah elaborately explained that due to complex time zone differences between Germany and the Emirates, combined with his extremely demanding and unpredictable royal schedule, he was often only able to genuinely converse very late at night in Germany or very early in the morning. Gabriele found herself obsessively checking messages at 6 a.m. and responding devotedly until midnight, always anxious and excited for the next emotional interaction. "You're working too hard on that mysterious Dubai project," commented Klaus Weber, her office assistant of 5 years, noting with growing concern that Gabriele seemed constantly distracted and exhausted during important meetings with local German clients. "When was the last time you had a full, restful night's sleep?" You look exhausted. It's an international project of historic magnitude, Klaus, Gabriele replied defensively, slightly irritated by the interference. Projects of this importance and complexity require total dedication and absolute commitment. You can't fully understand. She didn't want to admit even to herself that she was losing sleep, not only because of intensive technical work, but because of the addictive emotional excitement of communicating intimately with Abdullah and the constant anticipation of his affectionate messages. Abdullah then carefully revealed the next strategic level of his sophisticated psychological manipulation. Gabriele, I need to share something extremely confidential and sensitive that could completely transform your professional life. Our family is considering not only this initial cultural project, but a whole series of revolutionary architectural developments over the next 5 years. We are talking about total investments exceeding $500 million in cultural, educational, and residential projects. Gabriele's eyes literally lit up with excitement. 500 million euros in architectural projects? This would completely transform not only her career, but her entire financial situation and position in the German and international industry. If our partnership on this first project is exceptionally successful, Abdullah continued strategically, you would automatically become our exclusive lead architect for the Emirates' entire ambitious cultural modernization program over the next decade. Imagine the historic impact we would have together on the future of modern Islamic architecture and the dialogue between civilizations. Gabriele began to daydream compulsively. She saw herself designing international museums, prestigious university libraries, historic cultural centers, educational complexes, perhaps even entire universities. Her name would be mentioned reverently alongside the great legendary international architects. She would be recognized as a historic pioneer in sustainable Islamic architecture and intercultural dialogue. There is just one traditional protocol consideration, Abdullah added hesitantly, as if reluctant to mention it. For projects of this extraordinary magnitude and political sensitivity, our family follows centuries-old protocols that require concrete assurances of total commitment and absolute seriousness. Nothing personal against you, of course, just sacred traditions we have followed for many generations. What specific kind of assurances? Gabriele asked with growing curiosity, though a small voice in her mind whispered caution. A symbolic investment on your part in the initial project, Abdullah explained calmly. It demonstrates genuine seriousness and real commitment according to ancient Arab traditions. Let's say approximately 15,000 euros to cover initial costs for complex government licenses and specialized legal preparations. It is completely refundable immediately after official signing of the final main contracts. Gabriele paused for a longer moment. 15,000 euros was definitely a very significant amount for her, representing a considerable portion of her personal savings. But if it was genuinely refundable after signing the contracts and considering the potential return of 500 million euros in future projects. I fully understand your natural and prudent hesitation, Abdullah hastened to say, as if reading her thoughts. It is precisely because I absolutely do not want you to feel pressured or uncomfortable that I suggested we start with a smaller project to build solid mutual trust and demonstrate our seriousness. No, don't worry, Gabriele replied quickly, not wanting to appear hesitant or uncommitted. I fully understand the need to demonstrate professional seriousness. It's just that 15,000 euros is a pretty big amount for me right now. Of course, that's perfectly understandable, Abdullah replied with apparent empathy. How about an alternative proposal that would be more comfortable for you? You come to Dubai first as our guest of honor. Meet our royal family in person. Visit the specific project sites and fully understand the scope and potential. If after 3 full days of personal evaluation you decide that this is not the right opportunity for you at this time, we will cover absolutely all of your travel expenses without question, and there will be no financial obligation. This offer seemed not only reasonable, but generous beyond expectations. Gabriele would have the unique opportunity to evaluate everything personally and face-to-face before making any actual financial commitment. In addition, Abdullah added as a final gesture of good faith, as a concrete demonstration of our seriousness and respect, I will personally cover all the costs of your entire trip to Dubai. First-class airfare, 5-star hotel with ocean view, professional private driver, all meals at top-notch restaurants. You will be welcomed and treated as our absolute guest of honor. The offer was simply irresistible. A fully paid trip, a luxurious first-class experience, an opportunity to evaluate the project without any initial commitment required. Gabriele felt as if she had won the professional and personal lottery simultaneously. Abdullah, I am deeply and sincerely honored by your exceptional generosity, she replied with genuine gratitude. I accept your gracious invitation with great pleasure and anticipation. Perfect, came the immediate and enthusiastic reply. My personal assistant Amira will contact you within the next 24 hours with all the specific travel and itinerary details. Oh, and Gabriele. Yes, I am genuinely looking forward to finally meeting you in person face to face. I have a deep feeling that our collaboration will not only dramatically change the architecture of the Emirates, but will be the beginning of something very special and meaningful between us as people. Gabriele hung up, feeling intense butterflies in her stomach and her heart racing. It was just natural professional excitement, she told herself firmly, but a small, persistent voice in her mind whispered hopefully that perhaps it was the beginning of something romantic and transformative as well. She had no way of knowing that Amira was actually Mahmoud's cousin, Ahmad Hassan, who worked at a mid-sized travel agency and would arrange seemingly luxurious tickets that would actually be purchased with a cloned credit card from a previous victim. She also didn't know that the 5-star hotel would genuinely be a high-quality hotel, but the room would only be paid for 2 nights, not the full 5 days promised. With growing anticipation and a heart full of hope, Gabriele enthusiastically began packing for her transformative trip to Dubai, confidently imagining that she was embarking on the professional and perhaps romantic adventure of her lifetime. In the brutal reality, she was deliberately and confidently walking straight into an elaborate and dangerous trap that could cost her not only her entire life savings, but potentially her freedom, safety, and perhaps even her life. Emirates flight EK-43 from Frankfurt to Dubai took off punctually at 2:30 p.m. on a sunny Tuesday in April 2024. Gabriele had never flown first class in her entire life, and the experience completely exceeded her expectations. The seat that converted into a comfortable bed, Dom Perignon champagne, gourmet food, impeccable service. She finally felt like a genuine VIP, discreetly taking photos to share with her friends later. During the 7-hour flight, Gabriele studied materials on Emirati architecture, took notes for her presentation to the royal family, and fantasized about her new life as an international architect. At 48, after decades of modest local work, she finally felt that her career was taking off in spectacular fashion. Abdullah had sent a reassuring message before departure. My personal driver Hassan will meet you at the airport with a sign with your name on it. He will take you directly to the hotel to rest. We will meet tomorrow for breakfast at the Burj Al Arab. I can't wait to meet you in person. AA. Dubai International Airport was even more impressive than she had anticipated. Huge, ultra-modern, full of luxury shops and elegant travelers from all over the world. She felt part of something grand and cosmopolitan. In the arrivals area, Gabriele looked for the sign with her name on it. There was no one there. She waited 15 minutes, then 30. She began to feel anxious, but rationalized that traffic in Dubai could be unpredictable. After 45 minutes, a middle-aged Arab man approached hesitantly. "Excuse me, ma'am. Are you Miss Kraus from Germany?" "Yes, that's me," Gabriele replied with relief. "You must be Hassan." The man looked confused for a moment. "Ah, yes, Hassan. Sorry for the delay. Traffic was very bad today. Sheikh Abdullah sent me to pick you up." Gabriele noticed that Hassan's English was basic and he seemed nervous, but she attributed it to cultural differences. Hassan led her to a plain Toyota Corolla, not exactly the luxury vehicle she had expected, but she rationalized it as a security protocol. "Hotel Atlantis, correct?" Hassan asked uncertainly. "Actually, Abdullah mentioned a 5-star hotel, but he didn't specify which one," Gabriele replied. Hassan looked more confused, but nodded positively. "Yes, very good hotel. You will like it." During the 40-minute drive, Gabriele tried to make conversation. "How long have you been working for Sheikh Abdullah?" Some time," Hassan replied vaguely. "He is good boss." "It must be fascinating to work for the royal family," she insisted. "Yes, very fascinating," Hassan agreed, but he seemed uncomfortable with the topic. The hotel was genuinely luxurious. The Jumeirah Beach Hotel, a 5-star with spectacular views of the Burj Al Arab. Gabriele felt relieved. Her concerns seemed unfounded. At the reception desk, she presented her passport. "I have a reservation for Gabriele Kraus, account of Sheikh Abdullah Al Maktoum." The receptionist checked the system. "Ah, yes, Ms. Kraus. We have your reservation for 2 nights, deluxe room with sea view." "Only 2 nights?" Gabriele asked. "It should be 5 nights." "Let me check." "No, only 2 nights confirmed. You may need to extend after confirmation with the account manager." Gabriele felt slightly uncomfortable, but decided not to make a scene. It was probably an administrative issue that Abdullah would resolve. The room was magnificent. Panoramic view, luxurious decor, comfortable king-size bed. Gabriele had dinner at the hotel restaurant and tried to call Abdullah to confirm their morning meeting. The phone rang several times before going to voicemail. "Hello, Abdullah. It's Gabriele. I arrived safely in Dubai. I'm waiting for confirmation for our breakfast tomorrow. Thank you for everything." Abdullah did not return her call that night. Gabriele assumed he was busy with royal duties. The next morning at 8 a.m., she was dressed and waiting in the lobby for instructions on where to meet Abdullah at the Burj Al Arab. At 8:30 a.m., no message. At 9 a.m., she began to worry. She tried calling again. The phone went straight to voicemail. She left a second message, trying to sound casual despite her anxiety. At 10 a.m., a WhatsApp message finally arrived. "Gabriele dear, 1,000 apologies. Urgent family emergency. My aunt has been hospitalized in critical condition. The entire royal family must be present. Impossible to meet today." Gabriele felt disappointed but understanding. Family emergencies happen, especially in traditional cultures. "I understand perfectly," she replied. "I hope your aunt recovers. When can we reschedule?" "Tomorrow for sure. I will make up for this inconvenience. Lunch at the most exclusive hotel in Dubai. I will send a driver at 1 p.m. Gabriele spent the day exploring Dubai on her own. Burj Khalifa, traditional souks, Dubai Mall. The city was fascinating, a mix of Arab tradition and futuristic modernity. She felt inspired for the projects she would develop with Abdullah. On the second day, she waited in the lobby at 1 p.m. At 1:30 p.m., nothing. At 2 p.m., and a new message. "Family situation has become complicated. Aunt in critical condition. Impossible to leave hospital. Can we postpone until tomorrow?" This time, Gabriele was more frustrated. 2 consecutive reschedules seemed excessive. "Abdullah, I understand the family situation, but I also have commitments in Germany. I need a more definitive schedule." You're right. Family sometimes complicates business. Tomorrow, definitely. If you can't meet me, I'll send my brother Prince Khalid. He knows all the details. The mention of another member of the royal family reassured Gabriele. If multiple people were involved, it couldn't be a hoax. On the third day, Gabriele felt real anxiety. Her 2 paid nights were coming to an end, and there had still been no substantial meeting about the project. Worse, when she tried to extend her reservation, she discovered that her account did not authorize an extension. "I'm sorry, Ms. Krause," explained the receptionist. "You'll need to pay in person." Gabriele used her credit card for 2 extra nights, 800 euros she hadn't planned to spend. She began to wonder if something was wrong. At 3 p.m. on the third day, a message arrived. "Wonderful news. My aunt has made a miraculous recovery. We can meet today at 6 p.m. A driver will pick you up for a special dinner at my private palace. We will finally meet." Gabriele felt renewed relief and excitement. Finally, after 3 days of delays, she would have her transformative meeting. At 6 p.m., Hassan showed up driving a black Mercedes S-Class, more appropriate for royal guests. "Sorry for previous delays," Hassan said in improved English. "Royal family has complicated traditions." During the drive, she noticed that they were leaving the tourist areas for residential neighborhoods. The buildings were luxurious, but they didn't look like royal palaces. When she asked about it, Hassan explained, "Sheikh Abdullah prefers a private life. The official palace is for ceremonies. His private home is for special friends." That made sense. Many members of royalty maintained private residences in addition to official palaces. The car stopped at an elegant villa, large but not ostentatious. There were discreet security guards, manicured gardens, an atmosphere of refined wealth. "Are you ready to meet His Highness?" Hassan asked with a smile. Gabriele took a deep breath, adjusted her conservative but elegant clothes, and nodded positively. "I'm ready," she replied confidently, unaware that she was walking toward the moment that would change her life, but not in the way she imagined. The ornate door of the villa opened before Gabriele even rang the bell. An Arab man, elegantly dressed in a traditional white dishdasha and keffiyeh, appeared in the doorway. He was attractive, about the age she had expected, with a well-trimmed beard and a charismatic smile. But something subtle in his eyes didn't match the photos she had studied online. "Gabriele!" he exclaimed enthusiastically, opening his arms. "Finally! I'm Abdullah. It's a pleasure to meet you in person after months of correspondence." Gabriele smiled nervously, feeling a mixture of relief and strangeness. Abdullah's voice was different than she had imagined, younger, with an accent that didn't seem typical of the Emirates. She attributed her impressions to nervousness and unrealistic expectations. "Your Highness," she said formally, curtsying as she had practiced at the hotel. "Please, just Abdullah in private," he replied, taking her hand in a more intimate than formal manner. "Come, I have prepared a special dinner to celebrate our first meeting." The interior decor was impressive. Authentic Persian rugs, Islamic art on the walls, expensive furniture, crystal chandeliers. Everything confirmed the narrative of wealth and royal status that Abdullah had constructed. "Your residence is magnificent," Gabriele commented, genuinely impressed. "Thank you. This is my private residence, where I can relax away from the formalities of the court. Here I am simply Abdullah, not the Sheikh with all his responsibilities." They sat down in an elaborate dining room, a table set for 12 even though they were alone. An older man, introduced as Mahmoud, my personal assistant, served an appetizer of hummus, tabbouleh, and authentic Arabic dishes. "I hope you enjoy our traditional food," Abdullah said. "I prepared it with your tastes in mind." For 30 minutes, the conversation flowed naturally. Abdullah demonstrated architectural knowledge that impressed Gabriele, asked intelligent questions about his projects, and showed photos of family buildings in the Emirates. Now, he said more seriously, let's talk about our project. I'm eager to hear your initial ideas. Gabriele presented the sketches he had developed over months. Abdullah seemed genuinely interested, offering insightful comments and culturally appropriate suggestions. Impressive, he murmured, studying the drawings. You understand the soul of modern Islamic architecture. It is precisely this sensibility that our family was looking for. Gabriele felt completely validated professionally. Finally, someone recognized her talent in the way she had dreamed. There's just one issue, Abdullah continued, changing his tone. Our lawyers have informed us about regulations that have changed. International projects now require different financial guarantees. Gabriele felt a familiar anxiety. What kind of guarantees? Nothing dramatic, but the initial investment, the $15,000, needs to be increased to $25,000. It's a new legal requirement, not our choice. 25,000 euros. Gabriele paused, calculating mentally. It was a significant amount, almost half of her savings, but still possible if she used everything and took out a small loan. I understand your hesitation, Abdullah said, interpreting her pause. That's why I insisted that you come and meet me in person. I need you to trust me, as I trust you. It's not a matter of trust, Gabriele replied carefully. It's simply a considerable amount. Abdullah leaned in close, placing his hand on hers, sending an unexpected shiver through her. Gabriele, may I speak as a man, not as a prince? She nodded, her heart racing at the physical contact. Over the past few months, our correspondence has meant more than business, he said in a low voice. I have found in you not only a talented architect, but a woman of rare intelligence and elegance. If this project doesn't work out, I would lose not only a professional opportunity, but a special personal connection that I don't want to lose. Gabriele felt her heart race. Was this romantic? Was an Arab prince expressing personal interest in her? Abdullah, I don't know what to say, she murmured, flattered and confused. You don't have to say anything yet, he replied softly. Just consider it. This project will be the beginning of something bigger, professionally and perhaps personally. Dinner continued in an increasingly intimate atmosphere. Abdullah shared seemingly personal stories about his lonely life, challenges as a member of royalty, and his search for authentic connections in a world of protocol and interest. Do you understand why I rarely meet someone who sees me as a person, not as a title or an opportunity? He said during dessert. Gabriele felt increasingly special. The idea of having won the romantic interest of a prince was intoxicating. At 10 p.m., Abdullah suggested a walk through the gardens. Under the stars, with Dubai sparkling in the distance, he became more seductive. Gabriele, he said, stopping near a fountain, I need to be honest about something. What? She asked, a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. When my family learned of my interest in you, professional and personal, some members expressed concerns. What kind of concerns? Traditions about arranged marriages, expectations about Arab wives, political pressures. Nonsense, in my opinion, but family is family. Marriage. Gabriele felt dizzy. Was he considering marriage? That's why this project is crucial, Abdullah continued. If we demonstrate that our professional partnership is successful, it will be easier to justify other developments in our relationship. Abdullah, this is moving very quickly, Gabriele said, trying to maintain mental clarity. You're right, he replied immediately. Forgive me. It's just that I rarely meet someone who arouses such strong feelings. But you're right. We should focus on the professional project first. They went back inside, where Abdullah again proved pragmatic. About the initial investment, he said, I understand that 25,000 euros is significant. How about this? You invest 20,000 euros now to get us started, and the remaining 5,000 euros when we sign the main contracts next week. 20,000 euros was still a lot, but the installment payment made it more acceptable. Besides, the romantic possibilities clouded her judgment. I need to think about it, she said. Of course, it's an important decision, Abdullah replied. Sleep on it. Give me your answer tomorrow. If you decide to proceed, I can help with the bank transfer. If you decide it's not for you, Hassan will take you to the airport without any hard feelings. The offer seemed fair. Gabriele would have a night to consider the pros and cons. Thank you for a wonderful evening, she said, when Hassan showed up to take her to the hotel. My pleasure, Abdullah replied, kissing her hand for a few seconds longer than was proper. I hope our next conversation will be the beginning of something extraordinary. On the way back, Gabriele felt confused and excited. Was she really having a romance with an Arab prince, or was she being manipulated by a skilled predator? In her room, she tried to call Petra in Germany, but it was 3 a.m. there. She spent hours researching Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid Al Maktoum online. What she found left her even more confused. There were references to members of the Al Maktoum family with similar names, but no photos that matched exactly. The royal family trees were complex and contradictory. Perhaps information about the royal family is deliberately vague for security reasons, she rationalized. Until 4 a.m., she couldn't sleep, her mind racing between romantic excitement and anxiety about financial commitment. She didn't know that Abdullah was in another apartment, counting money from 2 other German women from the past few weeks, planning how to manipulate Gabriele into transferring money the next morning. The luxurious villa, rented for the night. The assistants, actors paid 100 dirhams each. The delicious food, ordered from an expensive restaurant and reserved on borrowed dishes. Everything Gabriele had experienced was an orchestrated performance, designed to make her feel special and willing to hand over her savings. Gabriele woke up at 6 a.m. after only 2 hours of restless sleep. Her mind couldn't stop processing the events of the previous night. The combination of a historic professional opportunity and romantic possibility with an Arab prince seemed like something out of a fairy tale, perhaps too good to be true. She decided to take a practical and responsible approach. Before committing any of her savings, she would do a thorough check on Abdullah and his project. She called the UAE consulate in Düsseldorf again, this time with more specific and direct questions. Good morning, I called last week about the invitation from Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid Al Maktoum. I would like to confirm additional specific details about the $200 million cultural project in Dubai. One moment, please, came the familiar professional reply. After a few long minutes of waiting, Ms. Kraus, I have a record of your previous inquiry, but I cannot find specific information about any cultural project of this magnitude. Could you provide me with more precise details? Gabriele's heart began to race dangerously. The cultural complex project, including a museum, library, and convention center, approved by the Al Maktoum family for immediate start. Ma'am, I have no official record of any project of this magnitude recently approved by the royal family. Major government cultural projects are always announced publicly through official channels. Could you double-check the exact full name of the Sheikh? Gabriele felt a rising wave of icy panic. Abdullah bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Prince of the Emirati royal family, approximately 45 years old. Let me carefully search our records. Ms. Kraus, there are several members of the Al Maktoum family, but I cannot find any Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid of the age or administrative position you described. The Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid Al Maktoum we officially know is 23 years old and is currently studying at Oxford University in England. Gabriele's carefully constructed world began to crumble completely. But I had dinner with him last night in Dubai. He showed me official documents, detailed architectural plans. "Ma'am," the consulate official's voice became considerably more serious and concerned, "I strongly suggest that you be extremely careful. There have been recent and increasing cases of criminals posing as members of the royal family to carry out sophisticated scams on European citizens. I urgently recommend that you contact us immediately if anyone requests money, personal documents, or attempts to isolate you." Gabriele hung up with her hands visibly shaking. Was everything she had lived and experienced in the last few months an elaborate and cruel lie? Was the charming and seductive man she had dined with romantically a dangerous impostor? Her phone rang almost immediately. WhatsApp message from Abdullah. "Good morning, my dear princess. I hope you rested well and dreamed of us. I am genuinely looking forward to your decision on our transformative project. May I send Hassan over at 10 a.m. to discuss the exciting next steps?" The word princess now sounded absolutely grotesque rather than romantic. Gabriele felt physically nauseated by the manipulation. She decided to confront him directly with what she had discovered. "Abdullah, I need to clarify some serious inconsistencies immediately. The Emirates consulate has no official record of a cultural project or of Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid Al Maktoum at the age you claimed." The response came more quickly than expected. "Gabriele dear, this is exactly why we keep projects highly confidential until final approval is complete. Information leaked prematurely can cause serious internal political problems and competitive advantage for rivals. Local consulates do not have access to all of the royal family's secret projects. Can we discuss all of your legitimate concerns in person?" The explanation seemed superficially plausible, but Gabriele decided to conduct additional, more direct tests. "I would like to visit your family officially at the main royal palace. Could you arrange a formal meeting with other members of the family?" This time, there was a significantly longer pause before the response. "Unfortunately, traditional royal protocol does not allow formal official visits until projects are formally approved by the family elders. That is precisely why we need the initial investment to obtain all the necessary bureaucratic approvals that will allow official family meetings." Gabriele clearly saw the manipulative pattern. Every specific question she asked was answered with an explanation that required more money or commitment from her before any real verification was possible. "Abdullah, I need to talk to you immediately, face to face now." "Of course, my love. Hassan will be there promptly at 10 a.m. At 10 a.m. sharp, Hassan arrived driving the same ordinary Toyota as on the first day. This time, Gabriele observed him much more closely and critically. His clothes were clean but definitely not expensive. His English was basic and limited. The car was modest and used. "Hassan," she said during the drive, "how long exactly have you been working for Sheikh Abdullah?" Hassan clearly hesitated and seemed nervous. Some time. He is good man for work. Where did you originally meet?" Family introduction. My cousin knows his family business." "What is the Sheikh's full official name again?" Hassan visibly hesitated for a long time. "Abdullah bin, Arab names are very complicated and long." Gabriele realized with growing horror that Hassan did not know the full name of the man he had supposedly been working for years. When they arrived at the same luxurious villa, Gabriele noticed crucial details she had completely missed the night before. There were no royal guards or official security. There were no flags or symbols of the Al Maktoum family. The property was expensive and luxurious, but it was definitely not a royal residence or government palace. Abdullah greeted her at the door with the same seductive charm. But this time, Gabriele was watching with completely skeptical and analytical eyes. He looked younger than he claimed, his accent was inconsistent between sentences, and there were small details about his mannerisms that did not match traditional royal education. "Gabriele, my dear," he said, trying to kiss her hand again gallantly. "You seem worried and tense. What can I do to completely allay your fears?" "I want to see official documents immediately," she said firmly and directly. "Royal passport, official identification of the royal family, project documents approved by the Emirati government." Of course, naturally," Abdullah replied. But she sensed clear hesitation. Official royal documents are kept in a security vault for obvious security reasons. I can provide officially certified copies, but the process takes a few bureaucratic days. "I want to see the originals, right now." Abdullah subtly changed his psychological tactics. "Gabriele, I feel that you don't genuinely trust me. This hurts me deeply in my heart. I thought we had developed a special and meaningful connection." "Trust must be earned with evidence," Gabriele replied firmly. "And right now, many things just don't make sense." It was then that Abdullah made a crucial psychological mistake. In a moment of visible frustration, he said, "Look, do you want to make this project profitable or not? I don't have infinite time for these childish games. There are other German architects who are equally interested." The elegant mask slipped momentarily. His language became less formal, less polite, more raw. Gabriele caught the change immediately. "Other German architects?" she asked sharply. "What exactly do you mean?" Abdullah immediately tried to recover from his mistake. "I mean, of course we have backup options like any serious project, normal contingencies." But Gabriele had heard enough. "I would like to leave immediately, now." "Gabriele, please, don't let minor misunderstandings destroy our beautiful partnership." "Hassan!" she called loudly. "Please take me back to the hotel immediately." It was then that the situation became genuinely terrifying. Abdullah's entire personality changed dramatically. The charming prince disappeared completely, replaced by something much colder and more threatening. "Actually," he said in a completely different, dangerous voice, "I don't think you can leave yet. We still need to discuss the matter of your promised investment." "What investment?" Gabriele asked, though she was beginning to panic. "The 20,000 euros you agreed to last night. My organization has already made financial arrangements based on your commitment." "I never agreed to anything." "But you did," Abdullah said coldly, producing a tablet. "Here are our conversations from last night, where you clearly agreed to proceed with the money transfer." Gabriele stared at the screen in horror. The messages showed her apparently agreeing to transfer money, but she was absolutely certain she had never sent those messages. "I never wrote this." "It doesn't matter what you think you remember," Abdullah said with calculated coldness. "What matters is that my organization expects payment, and you're not leaving Dubai until we receive it." Gabriele realized with growing terror that she was essentially being held hostage. The romantic prince had been completely fake, and now she was stuck with a criminal who was waiting for her life savings. "Let me out immediately or I'll call the police," she threatened. Abdullah laughed humorlessly. "Go ahead, call the Dubai police and tell them a German woman is refusing to pay debts she owes to a local businessman. See how sympathetic they are." Gabriele's hands trembled as she tried to reach for her phone. But when she tried to make a call, there was no signal. "We have signal blockers here," Abdullah explained casually. "For privacy and security, you understand." For the first time since her arrival in Dubai, Gabriele realized she was in genuine physical danger, alone in a foreign country, with no way to communicate with the outside world. Gabriele found herself in the most terrifying situation of her life. Trapped in a villa in Dubai, with no phone signal, with a man who had spent months building an elaborate false identity to extort money from her. Sheikh Abdullah had completely disappeared, replaced by someone cold, calculating and dangerous. "Let's be practical and direct," said the man she had known as Abdullah, sitting casually in an armchair as if discussing the weather. "You have two very simple options. Transfer 25,000 euros to my account right now, or stay here until you decide to cooperate fully." "You're completely insane if you think I'm going to give you a penny," Gabriele replied, trying to keep her voice steady despite her growing terror. "I know exactly who you really are, a common con artist and criminal." The fake Abdullah laughed, but there was no humor in his dark eyes. "Common con artist? Gabriele, you seriously underestimate me. Do you think an operation of this sophistication and magnitude is the work of an amateur?" He gestured around the luxurious villa with disturbing pride. This expensive house, the imported cars, the trained assistants, all of this requires meticulous planning and considerable investment. You were carefully selected after months of intensive research. We know your exact financial situation, your lonely life, your desperate need for professional recognition. The words hit Gabriele like physical punches. She realized how methodically she had been manipulated. She was not a victim of chance opportunity, but of deliberate scientific targeting. "How many other German women have you done this to?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Enough to maintain this comfortable lifestyle," the fake Abdullah replied casually, as if discussing the weather. "German women are particularly susceptible, lonely, financially stable, eager for international adventure and recognition, perfect targets." Gabriele felt physically sick. Not only had she been deceived, but she was part of a systematic pattern of exploiting vulnerable women. "Hassan," he called. The driver appeared immediately, confirming that she was being constantly watched. "Take our guest to the guest room. Let her think about her situation." Dude, the guest room was actually a small dormitory with bars on the windows and an external lock on the door. Gabriele realized with horror that this villa had been specifically modified to hold victims prisoner. Alone in the room, she desperately tried to find some form of communication or escape. There was a small window overlooking the garden, but the bars were too solid to break. Her phone still had no signal. At 3 p.m., Hassan brought simple food, rice and chicken. Gabriele barely touched it, worried that it might be drugged. "Please," she said to Hassan as he was leaving, "help me. You seem like a good person. This is wrong." Hassan looked conflicted and nervous. I sorry, but I need work. My family." "What's your real name?" Gabriele asked gently. Hassan hesitated, then whispered, "Hassan is real name. But I don't work for the real Sheikh. I work for Mahmoud, who you know as Abdullah." "Mahmoud?" "Yes. He's originally from Pakistan. He's lived in Dubai a long time, but he's always been involved in criminal schemes." "How many women has he done this to?" Hassan looked genuinely disturbed. "Many. Maybe 15, 20 German women. Usually they pay money and leave quickly." "You're the first to ask so many questions." Gabriele felt a chill in her stomach. She was in more danger than she had imagined because she had been overly suspicious. "Hassan, please," she begged, "help me contact the German embassy. I promise I'll help you too." Hassan shook his head sadly. "I can't. Mahmoud has my passport. My family back home needs the money I send." After Hassan left, Gabriele spent hours trying to come up with an escape plan. The bars on the window were solid, the door was locked from the outside, and she had no means of communication. At 6 p.m., Mahmoud, she now refused to think of him as Abdullah, returned. "Have you reconsidered?" he asked pleasantly, as if offering her tea. "I will never give you money," Gabriele declared. "Actually, I think you will," Mahmoud replied, producing his bag. "I have your credit cards, bank details, passport. With the right persuasion, you can make transfers yourself." "What kind of persuasion?" Mahmoud's expression became sinister. Dubai has many places where German tourists can disappear indefinitely. The threat was clear and terrifying. Gabriele realized she had moved beyond financial crime to a potential human trafficking situation. "I need to use the bathroom," she said, desperate to buy time to think. "Of course," Mahmoud said. "Hassan will escort you." The bathroom was small but had no bars on the window. While Hassan waited outside, Gabriele noticed that the door did not lock properly. There was space around the edges where sound could leak through. She also realized that the bathroom window, although small, could be possible for a thin person to squeeze through with great difficulty. That night, pretending to be asleep, Gabriele heard Mahmoud talking on the phone in what sounded like Urdu or Arabic. Although she didn't understand the words, the tone suggested that he was discussing her situation with someone, possibly deciding what to do with an uncooperative victim. At 2 a.m., just when she heard snoring coming from the master bedroom, Gabriele began her desperate attempt to escape. She carefully moved a small piece of furniture to the bathroom window, removed her shirt and shoes, and began the extremely difficult attempt to squeeze through the narrow opening. It took nearly 30 minutes of careful maneuvering, resulting in multiple cuts and bruises, but she managed to squeeze through the window into the garden. Barefoot and injured, she crawled across the garden to the front gate. It was locked, but there was metal decoration she could climb, even though it meant more cuts to her hands and legs. Once on the street, she ran desperately toward the main road, hoping to find a taxi or the police. Dubai at 3 a.m. was surprisingly active. Shift workers, people returning from clubs, taxi drivers. She stopped the first taxi she saw. "German embassy," she said breathlessly. "Emergency." "German embassy closed at night," the driver explained. "But can I take you to the police station?" "Yes, police, please." At the Bur Dubai police station, Gabriele's appearance, bleeding barefoot, speaking desperately in a mixture of German and English, immediately attracted attention. "I was kidnapped," she told the officer on duty. "Man pretending to be Sheikh, keeping women for money, villa in..." She realized she didn't know the exact address. The sergeant on duty, fortunately, spoke basic German and was trained to recognize human trafficking situations. He immediately called in a specialist officer. "Ma'am, you are safe now," Officer Khalil reassured her. "Please tell us everything." Gabriele spent the next 3 hours giving a detailed statement about months of grooming, the Sheikh's false identity, the villa location, Mahmoud's threats, and Hassan's reluctant testimony. "This sounds like the Mahmoud Hassan case we are investigating," Officer Khalil said. "Pakistani national, multiple false identities, targeting European women. You may be the key witness we needed." "Are there other women?" "We believe so. Some have filed complaints, others may be too ashamed. Your detailed statement can help build a strong case." A police raid on the villa took place at dawn. Mahmoud was arrested along with 2 accomplices. Hassan was detained but treated as a witness after Gabriele testified about his reluctant participation and victim status. A search of the villa revealed extensive evidence: false documents, multiple passports, computer files with profiles of dozens of German women, financial records showing transfers from at least 12 previous victims. "You were lucky," Detective Rahman told Gabriele afterward. "Most victims pay the money immediately and leave Dubai in shame. Your suspicious questions may have saved not only your own money, but the safety of other women." The German embassy provided immediate assistance, a replacement passport, contact with the bank to protect accounts, and arrangements for a safe return to Germany. 3 months later, Gabriele testified via video link at Mahmoud's trial. He was sentenced to 8 years in an Emirati prison for fraud, impersonation, false imprisonment, and human trafficking-related charges. The investigation revealed that Mahmoud's operation had defrauded German women of more than 400,000 euros over the previous 2 years. Some victims were too ashamed to come forward. Others, like Gabriele, helped build the case that convicted him. Hassan was deported to Pakistan after serving as a witness, but not before Gabriele helped him contact a legitimate employment agency. Back in Cologne, Gabriele struggled with trauma and shame. Professional colleagues were supportive, but she felt foolish for having been so completely manipulated. "You weren't foolish," her therapist explained. "You were targeted by a sophisticated predator who studied your psychology and exploited natural human desires for connection and professional recognition." 6 months after the Dubai incident, Gabriele started a support group for German women who had been victims of international romance scams. She discovered that her experience, though extreme, was part of a much larger pattern targeting lonely, financially stable European women. "These predators are professionals," she told the group. "They study our social networks, understand our vulnerabilities, and create elaborate fantasies designed to bypass our rational thinking. The shame belongs to them, not us." Gabriele never worked internationally again, but she found new purpose in helping other scam victims and educating women about the sophisticated manipulation tactics used by international predators. Her case became a case study used by German police and Interpol to train officers on complex international romance scams targeting professional women. The real lesson Gabriele learned was not to avoid international adventure or romance, but to recognize that anyone asking for money, no matter how elaborate their story, requires extreme verification before any trust. "Trust your instincts," became her advice to other women. "If something seems too good to be true, investigate thoroughly before committing anything, money, travel, or emotions." Mahmoud's conviction was covered extensively in the German media, helping to raise awareness about sophisticated international scams targeting German women. Several other victims came forward after reading about the case. Although Gabriele never recovered her lost vacation money, she gained something more valuable, the knowledge that her ordeal helped protect other potential victims. Justice, though delayed and traumatic, was finally served.